Man, Chadwick Boseman is like the go-to guy for biopics nowadays, isn't he? This guy's played James Brown in a movie, he's played Jackie Robinson in a movie, now he's playing Thurgood Marshall. How do we know for sure that Black Panther is not a biopic? Seriously, Black Panther comes out in February. Are we sure that Black Panther wasn't a real person? Because Chadwick Boseman might be playing a real-life action figure. Marshall is a movie that is directed by Reginald Hudson. Reginald Hudson, a guy who directed House Party way back in the day. Found out this guy was also the president of entertainment at BET, and that ain't nothing. As I mentioned before, it stars Chadwick Boseman. It also stars Josh Gad, Dan Stevens, and Kate Hudson. If you guys didn't know, Thurgood Marshall is obviously the first African-American Supreme Court justice. This is a biopic that focuses on Thurgood Marshall, but it really focuses on a specific period of time in his life. This follows one of his earlier cases. There is a rich white woman played by Kate Hudson who accuses a black man of raping her and trying to kill her. Thurgood Marshall is working as an attorney for the NAACP at the time, and he tries to represent this man, but basically the judge is being a dick and says, "No, we don't recognize you in this court." So he has to team up with Josh Gad. Josh Gad plays a character named Sam Friedman, and they have to kind of tag team, and he has to kind of coach Sam Friedman through the trial, tell him what to say since he can't actually be a lawyer on the case. This is kind of Thurgood Marshall as a consultant, and Josh Gad is really the attorney of this story, and they have to try to get this guy off of these bogus charges. As I mentioned before, Chadwick Boseman, he seems to have a knack for playing real-life people. He has a knack for pulling off these real-life biopics, and he does a great job of portraying Thurgood Marshall in this movie. I obviously never met Thurgood Marshall, so I can't really say how accurate his depiction of him was, but what I can say is that I really liked him as Thurgood Marshall. If this is what Thurgood Marshall was as a guy, I would have liked to have had a drink with this guy one time. The way he portrays him in this movie, I mean, this guy has swagger. He's got like this unshakable confidence about him. He's also kind of feisty. He's also really intense. I mean, he's got a really well-rounded character. Other people try to ease you into the truth. This is a guy that is blunt force trauma. He tells you exactly like it is. I like that. I respect that. Much love. I'll also say Josh Gad was really great in this movie. Surprisingly great. I mean, I'm not a huge Josh Gad fan. I mean, he's okay in some of the comedies that I've seen him in. But in this movie, he really sinks his teeth into this role, and you really do feel a surprising amount of sympathy for his character. Obviously, throughout the movie, you feel more sympathy for the guy that's being falsely accused of rape and murder, but you also feel bad for him because you do respect the position that he's in, because in his town, he's representing a black man who's been accused of rape and murder, and all the white people around are looking at him like, yeah, what are you doing here, buddy? You do respect his position and how uncomfortable this kind of makes him and how this kind of cuts him off from his life and makes things hard for him. Sometimes with biopics like this, they have a habit of feeling like they're made for TV, you know, like they have a habit of feeling like they're high-budget TV episodes that you could find on the History Channel or on BET or like on Lifetime in documentary form. What I loved about the way this movie was done, the production design, the direction, it felt like a big screen movie. It didn't feel like a made-for-TV episode. You can tell that there was a lot of passion put into this project by the director and the writers and the actors and everybody involved. And the way that it's directed, it's kind of directed in a down-to-earth kind of way. The fact that they were able to make this feel like a true cinematic experience, I gotta give the movie credit for that. Ultimately, though, for a movie called Marshall, I feel like the focus of the movie wasn't as focused on Marshall as it probably could have been. Sometimes in this movie you forget that Thurgood Marshall is the point of this biopic. You feel like really it focuses on this case, which is fine, but it focuses a lot more on Josh Gad running the case. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like in a movie called Marshall that is detailing an early case in Thurgood Marshall's career, I feel like maybe the movie could have focused a little bit more on Thurgood Marshall, the man, the person, and how he feels. You do get little glimpses and flashes of it here and there throughout the film, but overall I just feel like this is a movie of missed opportunities in that regard. Another thing in missed opportunities, based on what I know about Thurgood Marshall, one aspect that the film doesn't really focus on that much is the whole concept of colorism. Thurgood Marshall was a light-skinned man, and the movie could have taken the time to focus a little bit on the impact of a light-skinned black man working in this type of world back then, and how that affected him, and how that affected the cases that he got and the work that he did. Sadly, the movie doesn't really go in that direction, obviously because Chadwick Boseman is not light-skinned, he's a dark-skinned brother, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. If Thurgood Marshall is exactly the way that Chadwick Boseman portrayed him in this movie, then more power to him. I'm just saying I can't really fault the movie for that, but it is something where I look back and I go, man, the movie There's a missed opportunity there. They could have gone in a really interesting direction and focused on colorism and how that impacted this time period. And you have other things in the movie where, again, you feel like the focus is a bit uneven. They try to throw little personal subplots for the families of the men involved in this movie. And I feel like this movie suffered from a lack of commitment. Either commit and focus on the personal lives of the men too, or just kind of throw it away. But instead, they just kind of randomly inserted these personal stories and didn't really give much attention to them. So it felt like an unneeded add-on. Might be nitpicking just a bit, but either way, I really loved this movie. I thought it was really awesome. I just wish that the actual movie had spent more time on Marshall, and I do feel like there's some missed opportunities with the story, but that's no fault of this movie. It was really good. Can't quite bring myself to say I loved it, but Silver Age will have to do for now. Let me know what your favorite biopic is down below in the comment section. Like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.